meeting officially. Thank you very much. Can we note apologies, Koliswa?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the members and to our guests. The apology that I've received is from Mr. Heron. He's not going to join the meeting today. Mr. Malachi and Ms. Powell will join the meeting later. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to apologize to that if the meeting dragged after 12, I would request that we ask Mr. Zeki to chair so that the meeting should not stop because I would have to travel to Parliament today. Means that by 12 o'clock I must hand it over to Mr. Zeki if the House agrees. Members, we agree? Or you
We agree, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Zeki. By 12 o'clock, you must take over the process. Can we consider the agenda?
I will noted, Chair, but I think we'll be done.
We are not sure. Can we then have the mover for the adoption of the agenda?
I move the adoption of the agenda, Chair.
Ms. Choi moves. Can we get the seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you very much. I will now go straight into item number 4, which is the main, the first item on the agenda. Legal team of Parliament members, just to remind you where we are around the bill. We have deliberated on the bill ourselves and deliberated on the A bill and adopt it. Today we're going to look at the B vision of the bill, which the B vision just means that the issues that were deliberated on by members will be incorporated into the bill, and then we'll then adopt the B vision of the bill. The report bill. So I'm going to allow the parliamentary legal team to take us through.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to all on the platform this morning. Chairperson, before I start and before I go into the A list, I just need to let yourself and members know that the State Law Advisor is unable to join us today due to a clashing work commitment. But we've liaised extensively, and so I'm quite happy to take the committee through everything on my own.
Okay.
that's the one thing. The other thing is that, unfortunately, yesterday, we were not able to procure a final version. There's just one tiny error, which I will speak to later. It's not a major amendment. It's literally the incorrect reference to a section, but it's not earth-shattering. We can literally just get the final version from CREDA. So I'm going to just, I'm going to start with the A-list chairperson. Kaliswa, if you can just go to, there we go. So this is the A-list, and it's the amendments to the Housing Consumer Protection Bill. The only change that we had made to the A-list is a non-consequential change, chairperson, in clause 2. We've slightly changed the wording just so that it read better. So now what we've done is, if you look at clause 2, it says on page 8 from line 17, to omit subsection 5 and to substitute the following section. Notwithstanding the provisions of this Act, the Minister may, after consultation with the Council, in exceptional circumstances, on application in the prescribed manner, exempt a person or a home. And what we've done after the word home is we've inserted the words from the provisions of this Act. And then in B, in the public interest, by notice in the Gazette, exempt certain persons or homes belonging to a category or class specified in the notice, and we've added the words from the provisions of this Act. And then it's either generally or subject to conditions as may be specified. That's the one change that we've made on the A-list chairperson. If you can just give me a moment to pull my version up, and then Kaliso, if we can just go down a little bit, please.
To which clause?
Just further down on the page. I'll tell you now. To clause 41. On page 20 in line 53, after must to
just the same passing formula.
I'm sorry?
Can we mute members?
May I proceed, Chair? Thank you.
Yes.
On page 20 in line 53, after must to insert subject to subsection, it's now 39. Chair, you will remember that we've removed the old section 39 in the bill that referred to that non-profit company. So we've removed that, and as a result, the sections have now changed, moved up. So that's literally a consequential change. And those are the only changes in the A-list chairperson. If I may, I'd like to proceed to the B version. May I do so, chairperson?
Can we get the members to adopt the A vision with the changes that have been made, and then we proceed to the B vision?
Thank you, Chair.
Can members, can I get the mover for the adoption of the A vision on the slide changes that the legal advisor has indicated? And then we have adopted it, but it's important that with the changes we have to adopt it before we go into the B vision. Can I get any mover? Honorable Masuta?
I certainly move, Chair. That is the best formulation. I'm impressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Masuta moved. Can I get the seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Mr. Tseki seconded. Thank you very much. Let's proceed, ma'am, to the B version.
Thank you, Chairperson. So on the B version, on the very first cover page, we've changed the cover page because now how it read initially was as introduced in the National Assembly. And that's not the case anymore because this committee has made amendments. So we've changed the cover to read as amended by the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements, National Assembly.
Can it be flattened, Chair?
There is a noise, legal advisor. And can we see what you're talking about? Okay. Mr. Teki, where you are seated, your mic it's got a lot of noise, including the legal team.
Chairperson, may I just
Or you
ask?
can switch off. You can switch off the other gadget. The sound to be this, that you have two gadgets open for this meeting.
Chairperson, if you can just give me a moment, is it still like that?
No, now it's better.
Okay. All right. So as indicated, we've changed the cover to say as amended by the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements. So that's the addition that we've inserted there. I would like to move to the next amendment.
Can I check before you pass the page? It says the Minister of Human Settlement, Water and Sanitation.
So,
now we have only human settlement.
So it's the Committee on Human Settlements, as I understand it, but it was
Yes.
the Minister of Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation that had introduced
at the
book.
time
So
of drafting. Yes.
that's correct. So
Yes.
that stays the
Yes.
same.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm moving to the first page of the bill. And you will note, Chairperson and members, that because we removed the establishment of the non-profit company, that was item number 39. So that came out, and the next item, which was fees, is now 39. So there are a number of numbering consequential amendments. I just need to ask, Chair, do you want me to go through all the number changes on the first, on the cover page? It's literally the removal of number 39. So all the numbers just move one up.
I don't know, members. I think Mona, I'm fine with it because I understand what she said.
I think it's
Members?
perfect, Chair.
Okay,
No
perfect.
qualms about it.
Okay. Yes,
Chairperson.
Honorable Sifai. Yes, Honorable Sifai.
I put my hand up because I'm not clear about that section that also talks about the Minister of Human Settlement, Water and Sanitation. I wish if she could read so that we qualify the statement on the basis of now, because the Minister of Water and Sanitation introduced the bill. Is now the bill not going to be adopted by the present minister for it to go to NCOP and go to Parliament? Is it perhaps, Chair, you know better in terms of procedure, why it's going to continue to talk about who introduced it? I just want the clarity if that could be clarified.
Let me allow her to respond to that. My own understanding is that the bill, it will reflect the person introduced until it adopted and enacted, because like it's not a private member's bill. It's a departmental. It's a bill that was introduced by minister. And at that time, the minister was Human Settlement, Water and Sanitation. I just maybe just to check
You are
with the
spot on,
legal
Chair.
advice. Yes,
You are spot
So-
on, Chair. That is how it's done.
yes, it will proceed until
is-
that, yeah. Legal
Because, Chair, if I
advisor,
may assist, if I
okay,
may chip in, Chair,
okay,
because you see, once the bill is introduced in terms of the Constitution by either a committee, a minister, or a private member's bill, it's no longer their bill. It's now Parliament's business. So from there on, the minister no longer has a role to play. That's the context.
okay,
So once the minister introduces, they disappear. Parliament takes over. So,
okay.
sorry, Chair, for interjecting, but
No,
that's the
thank you for that additional, Honorable Mike. Can we get the legal person to
Thank you, Chairperson.
close it? Yes.
So I could not have explained it better as you and Honourable Masuka did. It's for exactly that reason that it reads as it reads at the moment.
Okay.
But Advocate Honourable Masuka is 100% correct. Thank you. May I
Thank you.
proceed, Chair?
Yes, proceed. I think the member is clarified. Ma'am Sukai, you are clarified?
I'm clarified, Chair. It's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Proceed,
Chair.
ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the amendments that I'm going to be dealing with now is under the interpretation section under definitions. And these are literally consequential changes. So because of the removal of that clause 39 and the clauses then moved up, the definition for certifier referred, my apologies, to a section 70. It will now refer to a section 69. It's moved one up.
Agreed, members?
Great.
Thank you.
yes, certainly.
Agreed.
Thank you. On page 6, after the definition of Funds Advisory Committee, there was a space that should not have been there before the definition of Head of Department, and we've removed that space.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
On page,
Agreed.
my apologies. Still on page 6, we go further down the page. If we look at the definition of home building contract, that definition referred to section 46. It is now section 47, consequential number change.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed, Chairperson.
Thank
Yes,
you.
certainly, Chair.
The next change is directly after that definition of home building manual. It referred to section 84, which is now, 86, it is now 85.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. On page 7, definition of inspector referred to section 70. That section is now 69.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you. On the same page, definition of technical requirements referred to section 86.1. It is now section 85.1.
Agreed.
Yes, certainly.
On page 8, I've already addressed this in the A-list chairperson, where I've said that we've inserted the words at A and B from the provisions of this Act. This was the addition that Honourable Masuta had requested which I've already addressed in the A list. So we've changed that, Chairperson.
I'm happy with that.
Agreed.
Totally.
Agreed, Chairperson.
Okay. The next change, just bear with me, please. Just lost my place. 1 minute. My apologies. Okay. The next change is on page 9, and it's item 8. It says the board must perform its functions in accordance with the code of conduct prescribed by the minister for the board in terms of section 88. It is now 89(1).
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. The next change is term of office. We've literally taken out the words within which period minister must appoint the replacement, and we've put that phrase at the end of the sentence. So it now reads, notwithstanding the period of the term of the office referred to in subsection 1, any member holds office until the minister has appointed another member to replace that member after the expiry of his or her term, provided that such extended period does not exceed a period of 6 months after such expiry, within which period the minister must appoint the replacement.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. On page 10, subsection 3A, the section referred to was section 90. It is now 89.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I see the hands of Honorable Safai. Is it the legacy hands? Okay, thank you. Agreed, members?
So, Chair,
Oh,
sorry,
Honorable
Chair,
Masuta.
can I just ask a small English question?
Okay.
Because I'm Venda, so English is a second language to me.
Okay.
The words appoint a replacement. How correct is the English there? Do you appoint or do you effect the replacement? The appointment is that of a person. Can a person be called a replacement in English? It's not a big issue. I'm just wanting to be sure that we're safe when it comes to the Queen, or should I say the King's language, now that there has been change of regime.
Ma'am?
Thank you,
Legal
Chairperson.
Services?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the drafters of this bill were satisfied that the term "the replacement" is fine as it stands. If they felt that it was not appropriate, they would have changed the word. So they've left it as must appoint the replacement of his or her term of office.
I'm not making a big issue about it, Chair.
Sure.
I just wanted to be sure that in English, in ordinary English, spoken English.
Mr. Masuta, say man.
No, I'm not making a big issue.
Okay, let's proceed.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
proceed.
Thank you, thank you, Chairperson. Page 10. I've already done that.
Okay,
3A.
can members agreed? Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. The next change on page 12, 5A, it referred to section 88. It is now 87 as a result of the consequential numbering.
Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
The next change is under section 14.1J, referred to section 40. It now refers to section 39.
Agreed?
Yes, certainly, Chair.
On page 13, under O, it referred to section 51B. It now refers to section 49.1B.
Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
On the same page, under 16.1, 2, we've taken the word only and we've put it in the middle of the sentence. So before it read, the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Financial Officer are appointed for only a term of 5 years and may be reappointed for one additional term of 5 years. And we've changed it to say the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Financial Officer are appointed for a term of 5 years and may be reappointed for only one additional term of 5 years. And that was in
Agreed?
line.
Agreed, Chair. At
Agreed,
least here
Chair.
I agree with the English.
Moving on to page 15, section 25, 25.5. It referred to section 40. It's now section 39.
Agreed? Members?
Agreed, Chair.
And then just under that, 25.6, referred to section 40. It's also now section 39.
Agreed?
Agreed. Agreed.
Members, if there is an issue, just interject because we are moving with speed. I don't want to leave anybody behind. Proceed, ma'am.
Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. On page 16, 27.2a, it referred to a section 64. It is now 63, and it referred to section 64. It's now, sorry, 63. It's now 64. I'm just going to do that entire 2, if that's in order. 2I, it referred to section 64.6, and it's now 64. Sorry, just bear with me. Just one moment. My apologies. So where it referred to 64.6, that has become 63.6. And where it refers to section 65.6, that has become 64.6. So one up.
Okay. Agreed, members?
Agreed, Chairperson.
Thank you. Let's proceed.
And then on the very same section,
Oh,
subsection.
hold on. Mr. Masuta, your hand is up. Your hand is up. Is it a legacy hand? Okay, proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Subsection 4, it referred to section 92, and that has become section 89.2.
Agreed, members? Members? Agreed?
Agreed,
you.
Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, let's
Um,
proceed, ma'am.
Page 17, section 30, 5B, that referred to section 40. It is now section 39.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Subsection 8 referred to section 64 or 65. That is now section 63 or 64.
Agreed? Agreed, members?
We agree, Chair.
Thank you. Subsection 9 referred to section 64.6 and section 65.6, and that is now 63.6 and 64.6 respectively. Thank you, Chairperson.
Agreed?
We agree, Chairman.
Thank you.
We agree, Chairperson.
All right. The next section is section 34 on page 18. My apologies, section 35.1 on page 18. It referred to section 42, that is now section 41.
Agreed, members?
We agree, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next amendment on page 19, under 2, it referred to section 42, that has become section 41.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Section 31, 4B, 34.1B on page 18, referred to section 42.3. It is now section 40. Sorry, my apologies. It referred to section 43.3. It is now 42.3.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you, Chairperson. The next change is subsection 7. It referred to section 40. It is now 39.
Agreed?
We agree, Chair.
Thank you. The next change is on section 41. It referred to section 42. It is now section 39.2.
Agreed?
We agree, Chair.
Thank you. Page 21, section 41.1. It referred to section 41.1. It is now 42.1. Oh, sorry.
Is it not upwards?
Sorry, just bear with me. I've just lost my spot. My apologies. 43.1. It is now 42.1. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Agreed, members?
We agree, Chair.
Agreed, Chairperson.
Thank you.
You want to hear the voice? Agreed. Agreed. Where's that voice?
It's my
Agreed,
voice.
We're agreement.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. section 42(1). It referred to section 41. It is now section 40.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Subsection 2 referred to section 44. It is now section 43.
Can you repeat?
Subsection 2 referred to section 44. It is now 43.
Okay, agreed.
We agree, Chair.
Subsection 3 referred to subsection 42. It is now 41.
Agreed.
Thank
Agreed.
you.
Good. Good voice.
Thank you. Also subsection 3, it refers to section 40. Sorry, just bear with me for a moment. Section 44, it's now 43. And that it refers to section 44 twice, so both of those become section 43.
Agreed.
Subsection.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Is it possible, is it wrong to read all the numbers, Chair, and then we just agree?
What's your problem when we're about to finish, Zaki, Honorable Zaki?
Oh, it's okay.
Because you're supposed to propose when we started. Now we're about to finish. Proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Subsection 5 refers to section 44. That's become section 43.
Agreed.
Section 43 refers to section 43 in A and in B. Those have become section 42.
Agreed. Members? Members, don't get tired. This is your
Agreed, Chair.
bill.
We agree.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Order, members. Proceed,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. 48D, we refer to section 42. That has become section 41. And DI also refers to section 41, and that has become section 40.
Agreed, members.
We agree, Chair.
Thank you. Under item 3, it referred to section 41, and that has also become section 40.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Agreed.
Thank you. Section 59(4), it referred to item 6, section 66, and that has become section 65.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Section 61 refers to 65(6), that has become section 64(6). That's A. It also refers to section 64(6). It's become 63(6).
Agreed.
Agreed.
D refers to 86(1). It has become 87(1).
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Subsection 5 refers to 71(2). It has become 72.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. 63, section 63I refers to section 65. It is now 64.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Excuse me. Section 64(1)D refers to sections 82, 83, and 84. It is now replaced with 81, 82, or 83.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed, Chair.
Subsection 70 refers to section 66. It is now section 65.
Agreed.
Thank you. Section 66 refers to sections 68 or 69. It is now 67 or 68.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Section 67(1) refers to section 67. It is now 66.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Section 68(1) refers to section 66. It is now 67. Also refers to section 67. It is now 66.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. One moment, please. Okay, section 71, 71(1)(6). It refers to section 70. Sorry, just bear with me for a moment. Refers to section 71. It is now section 70.
Agreed.
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 Thank you. Section 75 refers to section 66. It is now 65.
Agreed.
Section.
Agreed, members.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. Section 78 refers to section 73, 74, and 75. It is now 72, 73, 74. It also refers to section 76, 77, and 78, which is now 75, 76, and 77.
Agreed.
We agree, Chair.
Thank you. One moment. Section 92 refers to section 92, that is now 91.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to the memorandum on objects of the Housing Consumer Protection Bill. In 2.7, we've taken out reference to the non-profit company. So that clause will read exactly as it stands, us having taken out the establishment of a non-profit company.
Great.
Agreed, Chair. Agreed, agreed, agreed.
Thank you, Chairperson and members. Those are all the consequential changes that we have effected. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, legal advice. Can we then move for that adoption of the entirety of those consequential changes, members?
Chair.
Can I get the mover? Yes, Honorable Sifai.
Chair, I so move that the bill that we debated for some time and we got to make some amendment on it and it's presented to us today. be adopted by this committee.
Thank you. Can we get the seconder? Can I get the seconder members?
Need.
Members? Can we have the seconder?
Bayiphi labantu?
Members, can we get the seconder?
Hayibo. Are they in the platform, Chair? Are they here?
I'm not sure whether I'm lost, my voice is not clear, or whether members, they don't understand what they adopt or what. Can I get the seconder members to adopt the bill and consequential changes that have been presented to us? Honorable Sufai has moved for the adoption. Can I get the seconders members?
Hayibo. Chair,
Is the problem?
can Koliswa verify if they are in the platform?
They're here, Mr. Hlwai, Mr. Malimacha, Dr. Kumalo,
Hello?
So,
Ms. Powell, Ms. Tafeni, they are here, Chair.
Members, can I repeat, can I get the seconder to adopt the consequential changes that have been presented to us?
I've been talking, I think I was muted. I wanted to send to second the proposal committee.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chair, is it possible on this adoption that we can be circulated only though, I mean, not only highlighted changes with the new bill, highlighted them whether underlined or in red? I actually agree with those that are seconding.
Okay, legal team, what is the step now? And can we have the bill with that those changes so that can be highlighted on the bill through Coliso? I think Coliso can do that. Legal team.
Chairperson, that's fine. We are happy to share our handwritten amendments for ease of reference for the members. So I will send that to Kaliswa, and then Kaliswa can circulate it to the members with the final version that we are to get from CREDA.
Okay. So
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. What is now the next step?
Chairperson, the members have adopted the B version, and it's for the committee now to adopt the report, and then the committee is done with your role insofar as the bill goes, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Can we then have the report, Coliso?
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
When the legal person says the bill is done with us,
Mhm.
meaning that now it's going where? Because I assume it goes to Parliament, and we should be the
Yes,
one that
yes.
tabled it in Parliament.
Yes, that's why there is a report that needed to be presented.
Or that report. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Good
morning, Chairperson.
Yes, take us through.
Okay, I am going to read through the report on the bill. The report of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements on the Housing Consumer Protection Bill, Bill 10 of 2021. The date will be today's date, Chair. The Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements, the committee, having considered the Housing Consumer Protection Bill, Bill 10 of 2021, National Assembly, Section 76, referred to it and classified by the Joint Taking Mechanism as a Section 76 bill, reports the bill with amendments, Bill 10A of 2021 as follows. The Housing Consumer Protection Bill, Bill 10 of 2021 was tabled in Parliament and referred to the Portfolio Committee on 18 May 2021. The Housing Consumer Protection Bill seeks to provide, the Housing Consumer Protection Bill seeks to provide for the protection of housing consumers, to provide for the continuation of the National Home Builders Registration Council as the National Home Building Regulatory Council, to provide for the registration of home builders, to provide for the enrollment of homes in order to be covered by the Home Warranty Fund, to provide for the regulation of the conduct of the home builders, to provide for the continuance of the Home Warranty Fund, to provide for the claims against the fund, to provide for the funds of the council and for the management of those funds, to provide for the procurement and contractual matters in relation to the building of a home, to provide for the enforcement of this act, to repeal the Housing Consumer Protection Act 1998, and to provide for the matters connected therewith. The committee received its first briefing of the Housing Consumer Protection Bill from the Department of Human Settlements on 1 June 2021. In facilitating effective public participation on the Housing Consumer Protection Bill, the committee conducted nationwide in-person public hearings in 3 districts per province in all 9 provinces from 22 April to 6 November 2022. The public hearings were attended by 5,659 members of the public and various stakeholders across 27 district municipalities. A total of 894 oral submissions were heard by the committee during these hearings. Additionally, the committee conducted virtual public hearings on 9 November 2022. The committee received oral submissions from the Master Builder South Africa and the Development Action Group. The Department of Human Settlements responded to the issues raised during the public hearings on 11 November 2022. The report to be considered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Koliswa. Can we then, can I get members to talk to the report?
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Mofut.
I need clarity on this point. It is the last point read by Koliswa, which states that we as the Committee of Human Settlement have responded to the issues of the public or the people that were attending the public hearings. I need clarification on that one.
So the department has responded to the issues that were raised.
Yes.
Department, not us as the committee. The department. You remember they were here and presented their responses.
Okay.
Okay. Honorable Powell.
Thanks, Chairperson. I'm just wondering, our committee, in responding to the feedback that we received from stakeholders, our committee made a number of changes to the draft legislation. And there were a couple of points that during the deliberations last week, we had asked be reflected in the committee report. For example, the reason that we had rejected Section 39, for example, the attempts and the rationale to reduce fees for small scale entry market builders and developers. I'm just wanting to know, when history reads this report, it's not very clear on what it was that the members of our committee did to safeguard the industry. Is this the opportunity in this report for us as a committee to reflect on the changes that we made and the discussions we had and why we made those changes? I think that should be reflected somewhere. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Powell, Honorable Butas.
Thank you, Chair. I think what Member Powell is saying, the last part, I tend to agree to say, why did we do this? It must be reflected on what is the benefits. In other words, the previous was doing the following. We are improving from that to this. An example of the 5 years versus the 2 years, that kind of beneficiation. On the issues that we have rejected, like clause 39, I think it's irrelevant. We can't, in my view, we can't go to issues that we did not agree upon in the report, but rather go on the positive side of everything that we have agreed, because the intention is to respond to the constituencies that are going to benefit on this act.
Okay, Koliswa, Honorable, Honorable Ndombi, or followed by Honorable Nolvoyo Tafin.
Thanks, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I would like to agree with Honorable Powell in the sense that I think we are a committee, we did some work and it needs to be reflected. Whether it's either rejection or improving, there's reasoning behind every change that we made and the deliberations that we made and the decisions that we made. So I think that should reflect in the report entirely, completely what we have done and why we have done it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tafeni.
Enkosi Chairperson, greetings to the members of the committee. Chairperson, in point number 6, as Member Mohotu, as a request, a response, though that department is supposed to tell us as the committee members, zeziphi issues abakwazileyo ukuziphendula zaphenduleka, because it's us as committee members ebebe move over the country. So siyahalela ukuyazi ukuthi zeziphi ezona nto zikwazileyo ukusombululeka kwezi issues bezibekwa ngabahlali. Enkosi Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nolvuyo. Honorable Mike.
Chair, please pardon me. I'm going to go south when everybody's going north on this point. And I do apologize to colleagues. I understand where we are all coming from. But hello?
Yes, we're listening, Honorable Mike. Proceed, yes.
So let's not invite complications for ourselves when it's not necessary. Because the moment you adopt an approach that seeks to explain the reasons for every other clause, why you chose one policy approach or one technical formulation over another, you are going to have to deal with all the suggested changes, whether you received them through oral or written submissions, and you're going to have to explain yourself as to the reasons why you agreed to this or didn't agree to that. And the reasons, even if we all agree, the reasons between us might be different. Now, you're going to be involved in an impossible task of splitting hairs, trying to say, well, this one agreed on this basis, but the other one agreed on a different basis, or we couldn't all agree on something. So where we decided that the majority should view must prevail. You're going to really get involved in a nitpicking exercise that you won't be able to complete at all. So my humble plea is that let's not try something that we will not be able to complete. It's properly and fully, and it might take a textbook, or alternatively, we stay out of it. Because it is our constitutional responsibility to listen, to hear the views of the public, to take them into account, and I believe we did. And it suffices for us to give that assurance that we did, unless somebody feels we didn't.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mike. Let me give Koliswa to respond. And,
thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Koliswa, to respond, and I'll or maybe let me make my input, and then Koliswa would actually come later as the writer of the report. Honorable members, the changes that we have made are in the bill. The report will then have this bill. The report it's with entailing the changes that we have made in the bill itself. And secondly, the report outlined what you have done in the process of arriving where you are now. The issues that members have raised that were changes, they are part of the minutes of the committee. As we're engaging, there are minutes. I'm not sure, Koliswa, if you forwarded the minutes to members, because you're supposed to adopt even those minutes, which is part of the processes that we're involved on. I must clarify the point 6, particularly on what Honorable Tafeni has raised, that department has raised on issues that were raised by in the public participation based on the bill, and we, in that meeting, we have agreed that the department, on the issues pertaining to problems of how human settlement, we said that the department should actually develop a plan of action which will get the feedback on as we engage with the department on issues by issues raised by members. If you remember, the department, part of their response was that they have established a task team in the department which will deal with these issues of that were raised by communities, which are not inside the bill. issues now we're reporting about the bill, the reporting of all other issues that we have taken a decision as a committee, if members remember, that we need the department to respond to those issues, and ourselves will continuously follow up on those matters. And those things, there must be an action plan. Sabelo has distributed the last reports of the 3 provinces that we have visited, because the other provinces, we have adopted them. If you members remember that, and Sabelo has distributed the report around those issues to members. I'm not sure if members, they've not seen that, which isolated those issues, problematic issues that people have raised of human settlement from the bill itself. So that's how the issues was handled. But I know that in one meeting we said on section 39, we said that we should and put that into the report, which were, as the report was being done, the format of the report, because there is a format that you have to follow, because those issues are in the minutes, they are not lost, they are part of processes, which it will then become the record of the committees themselves. Let me ask Koliswa to respond on these issues and on the format itself of the report, particularly of the bill. Koliswa?
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes.
Yes, this is the short report of the bill. The only thing that I can do is to add the proposed amendments and list them in this report, but not to add the deliberations, because they are in the minutes. That like all the meetings that we had, there are a set of minutes where it states clearly what was deliberated on a certain date. So the only thing that I can add here is the amendments that were proposed as per the A list, which was adopted by the committee. So I am going to add that list here as part of this report, Chairperson, that will then show what was agreed to as the amendments to this bill. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Tseki, followed by Honorable Ndombi and Honorable Masuta and Honorable Mafoto.
Chair, your explanation covers us, all of us, I think, especially on the issue that Comrade Mokhotu have raised. I would compromise my view and agree with your summary. And probably when we do presentations in Parliament, I think political parties will be allowed to raise their own way of presentations. I'm fine, Chair. Can we move with that summary that you have made?
Doctor? Doctor? Oh, has disappeared. Honorable Mokhotu?
Thank you, Chairperson. Still on that point that I needed clarity on, I think that point number 6 should not be general. It is stated that the Department of Human Services responded to issues raised. When it is like this or written like this, issues raised, meaning it includes the issues that were raised concerning the bill and also the issues that were not concerning the bill, the general problems or issues that the community had or communities had. So I just needed that. That is why I needed clarity, because I'm quite aware that the Department of Human Settlement did not respond to all the issues that were raised. They might have, responded to issues concerning the bill, but not the other issues. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Mohutu, you are correct. That's why I was clarifying the issues that we are reporting back on the bill. By the way, we went out to solicit the views on the bill, but we have not, we end up actually having to listen to communities' problem on human settlement. And I'm saying we had agreed ourselves to remove those things from the bill and action them, that the department would have to come back to these issues and respond to those issues that were raised by communities. That's why we said Sabelo must consolidate them and develop a report which will then be adopted by the committee that would then follow up on them. So here we're reporting on the bill, honorable members. So there is no confusion around that. So I think I see that Koliswa has tried even to help us to say the Department of Human Settlement responded on the issue raised regarding the bill during the public hearing. I think probably you are covered, honorable member. Can we then have Honorable Sikwai and Tolishini? I can't respond.
Legal advisor, Chair.
Oh, legal advisor, yes. Hey, it's a name, Yakona. I have to go through the training to call it better. Can we have Mesify and then we'll then have the legal advisor as the last person?
Chair, I want to agree with you. The bill that you have introduced is a mechanism to address the issues that we've had. The bill presupposes that it knew about those issues because the bill is to understood. The bill understood the problems, but you are not going to get the detail of the issues. You are not going to get the details of these issues as you want them because this is an act which put intentions and purposes. What then, the question that is asked now about the issues raised, as the chairperson has raised that, we will package those and allow government, 3 spheres of government, national, province, to deal with these issues according to individual areas where they've been raised. But the bill protects those issues to say the inspectors, the NHBRC, they should do this and that. The how part, which is raised in the public hearings by people, will be dealt with in terms of the implementation, rectifying, correcting. I'm happy with the issue that you're raising, that those issues are going to be packaged and be sent to the department to engage the department. How do you deal with these particular issues? We must separate the two, although they are not mutually exclusive. Separate them because otherwise it's an act of parliament The other one will be in the administration and implementation of the department. You are going to make a reference to this act when the issues raised are not being implemented accordingly. This is your tool to enforce implementation of correct things in the administration in different spheres of government. I am trying to put my view, Chair, which may not be absolute, but I'm trying to assist.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Sky. Honorable Masuta.
Chairperson, firstly, I agree with your sentiment and the approach that what we are mandated to do here by Parliament, because Parliament referred this bill to us. We didn't refer the bill ourselves to ourselves. And Parliament expects us to report back to it on the task it gave us. We did certain work, and now we're reporting back to Parliament. That's all it is. Now, of course, we do need to confirm that we did engage in public consultation because it's a constitutional requirement in legislative formulation, lawmaking. So that's fine. I don't have a problem with a general statement that says that the committee, not the department, because it was no longer the department's bill. The department was merely assisting us at a technical level to clarify certain issues to the public on our behalf. But I don't think it would be advisable for us to even mention the department responding. You know, it's like saying the secretary of this committee, because she drafted the motion of desirability, that try and explain that, you know, those things are housekeeping issues. The bottom line is that this committee is the one, not the department. This committee is the one national obligation to engage in. Insofar as those inputs do not relate directly to the bill, the committee has referred those matters as matters to be dealt with by the department on an ongoing basis, and we will continue to exercise oversight to ensure that the concerns are addressed going forward. Secondly, that the committee took account of all suggested amendments to the bill, and that's all we need to give assurance on. We don't need to give detail as to which recommendations from which platform we considered or didn't consider, etc. And we don't even need to involve the name of the department here. Because once, as we said earlier, once the bill is introduced in Parliament, the department, even the Chief State Law Advisor, are simply supporting us technically. But the people who are actually doing this bill is this committee constitutionally. The only other body that is now going to deal with the bill once we have adopted it is the House itself. Once we've presented the bill to the House, it's no longer our bill as the committee. It's now back to the House. It's now the House's bill. So the only people that can be mentioned on this document is the committee. Sorry, yes, it is the committee. We can't say that the department responded, etc. They were simply assisting us. It was not their job. It was our job to respond to those concerns. Thank you, Chair.
Hello, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Koliswa.
The legal advisor, Chairperson, wants to say something.
Yes, I've noted after Mr. Masuta. Ma'am, you can proceed. Please, for my sake, can you repeat your surname so that one can be able to pronounce it correct?
Sure.
Because
Sorry, Chairperson.
yes, I must learn to correct to pronounce it correctly. Because even myself, if somebody does not pronounce my surname correctly, I get hurt. So I want you to repeat it for my sake, and I'm not sure with other members, so that I can then be able to practice it until I master it.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. So my first name is Thiloshni, and my surname is Gangan.
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 Gangan. Yeah, Gangan. Okay.
All right. Chairperson, if I may, there are just two things that I want to alert the committee to. So we've received the final version while in this meeting from CREDA that is now correct. So they've just changed a section that was incorrect, and we've now got the correct sections. So this correct version will be circulated to the members with the last two corrections that were made, together with our handwritten corrections of what was effected. So members can see exactly what sections were changed and can compare it to the final version of this B-bill. That's the one thing, Chairperson. The second thing, Chairperson, is that the department is of the view, and my colleague may come in, that the removal of the clause section 39 was quite a substantial deletion of an entire clause. And so perhaps it could be indicated to some extent in the report, just having regard to the nature of that that amendment. It was a deletion of an entire clause, and perhaps it would be prudent to alert whoever reads the committee report that clause is no longer in the bill, subject to the committee's views. And that is the view of my colleagues at the department. They may come in if they wish, if I've not conveyed the instruction correctly, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson.
Are they here? I thought Koliswa said it's going to add Mr. Gagan. Koliswa said will then add the A list as adopted on the by the committee on the report. Does it did not cover that?
Chairperson, I think what the department would require or request is, in addition to the A list, perhaps just a sentence or two explaining the removal for ease of reference to anybody reading the report. So not just a cut and paste of the A list, but just where we refer to that clause, perhaps we can just elaborate on the reasoning. Just a short 2-line explanation. It needn't be lengthy. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. Masuto, your hand is up.
Yes, Chair. Sorry. I am inclined to agree with the advice. I think it is prudent advice, especially policy shift that we have made in the bill. Because law reflects policy, and if there is a particular substantial policy position in draft legislation which we felt should not form part of this law, I think it's prudent that we are transparent about our reasons for making such a substantial deviation. So I would, on that basis, concur. It's just a matter of being careful in the manner in which we couch the reason, so that we do not open up a whole can of worms with different people expressing different views about it, and it becoming an endless debate around it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Masuta, I don't see any other hands. I think what we, in including that removal of section 39, as we agreed, we said that for now, because there is no, in terms of our discussion, was that there is no agent to put that clause in the bill, as part of the bill, and we are not rejecting that clause, but we are removing it from the bill, from the bill, because it's not agent. If the department still feels that they need to proceed with the issue of the NPO, they will follow the process at the time that they needed to implement it, because the clause itself was not what it was saying may. And then we said at the time, because if it says may, and for now it can open any manipulation by those that will be implementing the act that time. So we're saying at the time the department feels that they need to establish that in NPO, they will then start the process to do so. I think that's what we had agreed on. I think there is no problem for putting that with the, as you say, remove to the, because say that the clause removed, I think rejected or removed, but I'm not sure which is been utilized. I can't remember it. Then you can then put it there on the report with the A list. As we put that A list, you can then put the reasoning part of why we didn't want the clause. Agreed, members?
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Masuta.
And the reason can be put in very simple words. Something to the effect that
Can members mute? Whose mic is on? Please, can we mute? Okay, proceed, Honorable Masuta. Honorable Masuta. Honorable Masuta. We've lost him. He's left the system. Can we then get the mover for the adoption of the report with that amendment? Honorable members.
Chair,
Yes, Honorable Sifai.
I move the adoption of the report with the amendment that we just discussed.
Chairperson, please note the objection of the DA to the report as it stands.
The DA reject the report. Thank you. Can we get the second, the procedure?
Tafeni will second the adoption of the agenda with amendment, more especially in the input of the EFF to this bill. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you for the secondment by the EFF, Honorable Tafeni. We have noted the objection of the DA. Thank you very much. Can we end the minutes?
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, Sabelo.
We still need to adopt the consolidated report, Chair.
No, we'll come to that. I wanted us to deal with the minutes.
Okay, Chair.
Okay.
Hello, Chair.
Yes, Koliswa.
Can you please give me a few minutes so that I can get the minutes?
It's Sabelo's report ready. Sabelo, can you flight
Yes,
your yes, flight it and then proceed with it?
Morning, honorable members. So the consolidated report of public hearings was sent to members last week, Thursday. And so, Chairperson, do you want me to talk to it?
Yeah, just talk to it because members had received the copy.
Okay. So the public hearings, the provincial public hearings took place from 22 April to 6 November 2022. With regards to the outline of the report, it's the introduction. Basically, the introduction covers the purpose of public hearings, and then it's followed by the statistical analysis. So about the participation and what were the views of those who participated on the bill, and then it's followed by the issues that emerged. Maybe this will provide an answer to what the members were deliberating on. The issues that emerged are separated to the issues that are relating to service delivery or other human settlements issues. And the second part is the issues that are relating to the bill itself. With regards to the introduction, basically it's about, it says that the public hearings took place on the 22 April to 6 March, to 6 November 2022. And these were the places that the public hearings took place in the Eastern Cape, the Free State, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Northwest, and Mpumalanga. And then also on your right, they say the local municipalities and the actual place where the public hearings took place. So What was the purpose of this public hearing? Basically, it was to gather the views of the people or the communities on the bill. And also this was important because it's also gonna shed light for members when they're deliberating on the bill which just happened now. The second heading is the statistical analysis. This one talks about the number of attendance and speakers. As you can see, in the Eastern Cape had the most people of 876 who attended, and they had 107 speakers. And Western Cape had the least, not the least, we say KZN had the least of people who attended of 500, and about 94 speakers. With regards to 2.2, speakers by gender, it reflects that mostly in the Free State, there were about 75 males who spoke, and in Limpopo there were about 63 women who spoke on the bill. With regards to the view on the bill, there was 491 people who supported the bill, and there were 400 people who did not indicate. This, as they were speaking, they might have forgotten to say whether they support the bill or they don't support the bill. And there were 25 people who outrightly said that they don't support the bill. With regards to the key emerging issues, as I've indicated earlier on, there are speakers who raised issues specifically to the bill, and those issues were pertaining to the definition and interpretation, the nature and scope, the lack of coverage for existing RDP houses, lack of coverage for rural areas, the warranty fund, lack of visibility by NHBRC inspectors, lack of training for emerging contractors, and the focus on the age category of 18 to 35, the NHBRC registration, the composition of the board, lack of training for housing consumer and builders, the penalties, and lastly, it was the issue of the implementation of the bill. Now, as indicated earlier on, there were other issues, or let's say service delivery issues, that were not necessarily related to the bill. And these issues include the incomplete or defective houses, the unsatisfactory provision of RDP houses, unfinished houses, often that lead to vandalism and invasions of RDP houses, and unsatisfactory provision of land for human settlements, corruption on the beneficiary list, corruption in and misallocation of RDP houses, non-issuance of title deeds, delay in the approval of building plans, inadequate social and economic infrastructure, health problems associated with asbestos roofing, and general criminality and youth using drugs because of hopelessness. And also, further to that, there were issues relating to problems with municipal billing systems, illegal electricity connections, and violation of the rights of orphans who are foreign nationals, and lack of housing provision for backyard dwellers, illegal evictions, corruption in the tender system, lack of housing in rural areas, lack of geotech studies before buildings of houses, and late payment of contractors, especially the ones that are emerging. So this section, as the chairperson indicated earlier on, that is going to follow a different process. These issues will be sent to the department to deal with. in a form of that framework, or a framework that we have developed, and the department will then reply to those issues. Now, with regards to the first issue on the definition and interpretation of the bill, there's a sentiment that terminology of consumer was reported as misguiding. The proposal was that it be better to alter consumer by inserting home builder. And so also the bill omits to explain the role of other key role players in the construction of houses value chain. There was a strong sentiment, especially for those who are plumbers and electricians. The nature of and scope of the bill, there was a sentiment, or rather a strong sentiment, on that the builder. I mean, the bill is quiet on with regards to builders who are foreign nationals, and also it doesn't talk to traditional authorities. And there was also a feeling that the bill only focuses on urban houses, and it doesn't focus on the nature of rural housing. And also there was an issue that there were no provisions for backyard dwellers, and also there was a lack of empowerment for people who are living with disabilities. And also it did not encourage or it didn't provide provisions for local graduates in construction, in construction projects. There was also a sentiment that the bill lacks the coverage for existing houses. People felt that the bill does not cover those houses that were built before the bill with cracks and poor workmanship. And also there was a suggestion that the bill should cover those. As I've indicated earlier on, there's a lack of coverage for rural areas. And part of the problem is that rural areas don't have title deeds. They use PTOs, which is permission to occupy. And also there was a sentiment that traditional leaders are not, or the bill does not provide the space for them to be involved. And the warranty fund, or the issue of transformation, there was a sentiment that the bill does not necessarily speak to the empowerment of especially Africans and women in construction, and therefore it needs to have a strong focus to empowerment of Africans and women. There was an issue of lack of visibility by NHBRC inspectors. So this also relates to the poor workmanship that is done by those who are contracted to build houses. And there was a sentiment that NHBRC becomes a cartel that operates with in a dishonest way with contractors, and also contractors don't come on time to inspect houses, which creates a problem with poor workmanship or the quality or standard of houses provided. So those also recommendation to suggest that NHBRC should appoint qualified inspectors. They should be in all regions. They should do their job, and also they should be represented in municipalities. And there was also a suggestion that there must be the community leaders should be involved in the inspections of these houses. And also the inspection should be an ongoing process. It should not just be done when the house is finished. It should be done in the beginning and also in the middle and in the end. There was an issue of training for emerging contractors. It seemed like that part of the problem was that mostly companies that come from outside will be given local projects at the expense of the contractors that are in the local areas. And when they are subcontracted, they're often not paid on time, or they're not paid accordingly. And the big contractors often don't leave skills to subcontractors. And there was a sentiment that this has got a racial or a transformation issue in it, because most big contractors are mainly white, while the subcontracted companies are mainly black and female. There was an issue of the age category of 18 to 35. So most, not most, community members raised an issue that the focus of age between 18 to 35, it disadvantages those people who have gotten experience or skills after they're 35. They might have a lot of knowledge and experience to contribute to the housing construction process, yet they are disadvantaged. Also, with regards to 3.7, the registration with NHBRC, it was raised that it's often a tedious process, and it's often difficult to register contractors with NHBRC. And it's also biased to those who have access to internet, and elderly people and people who live in rural areas are usually disadvantaged because of lack of access to internet. And also, some small contractors complained about this continuous paying of facilitation fees to NHBRC, and they indicated that they would pay those fees, yet they wouldn't get tenders from government. The composition of the board, there was a suggestion that the composition of the board should include people from royal families, and the rationale behind this is that royal families represent the views of the community, and if they represent those views, then the board will be transformative, or will represent what the community is interested in. And also there's a need for the board to be in consistent interaction with communities to ensure transparency. There was an issue of lack of training for housing consumer and builders. So here is that the issue of education was important, so that the community and also the builders know exactly what is expected of them. And it was proposed that there should be a continuous education, and also that social media should be used to ensure that everyone has got access to to training and education in relation to housing. The penalties as proposed in the bill, some participants indicated that it should be increased to 25%, while others indicated that there should be penalties for those who employ illegal foreign nationals, and some indicated that penalties should be 100% value of the house. to make sure that it compensates the housing beneficiary that is affected by this. And lastly, there was a sentiment that yes, South Africa comes up with several good legislation. These legislations are good on paper. However, when it comes to implementation, this is questionable. And this is because part of the problem is that there's a lack of monitoring and evaluation of bills. And it was all recommended that the bills should be implemented, and there should be a strong monitoring and evaluation. There should be timeframes given to implementations of bills, and those who who do not do what they're supposed to do should be held accountable. And government should train local people in order for them to conduct effective monitoring and evaluation. With regards to the conclusion, the public hearings, they provided the committee and with wealth of information, and mainly the issues that were raised were the ones that I have discussed, and there were other issues that were raised which were not necessarily related to the bill, were mostly service delivery issues. So it is important that when the committee engages on the amendments of the bill, they take into consideration what the community have indicated on their concern. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Sabelo. Members, that is the consolidated report on issues that were raised by communities in the public hearings. Can we then get members to talk to the report or questions for clarification? Honorable Powell and Honorable Masuta followed. Proceed, Honorable Powell. Honorable Powell. Honorable Powell, proceed, and then followed by Honorable Masuta and Honorable Zeki. Honorable Powell. I don't know what's the problem now. Can members hear me?
Yes.
It's an old hand, Chair.
Okay, of Honorable Powell.
Yes.
Okay, Honorable Masuta.
All I was saying was that in the disability sector, the appropriate terminology is people with disabilities, not people living with disabilities. If people
Listen before you write, Sabelo.
Okay, Chair.
Yes, it's
could just omit the word living. Just to
people with
omit the
disabilities.
word people with disabilities, not people living with
Okay.
disabilities. Then we have our own reasons as a sector.
Okay, no, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Honorable Zeki.
Chairperson, I want to agree, but I just wanted to bring one rider that I think Member Mohutu raised this, and in your summary, you raised it as well. That issues that may not have been issues of the bill, but issues of the community need to be programmatized on how we respond. So, Chair, my proposal was going to be, last time you arranged, I think, 3 per province. I think similar to that can be arranged so that we should deal with those issues which were raised by the community. Or maybe going to those provinces, meeting with, I'm just flexible, but I just want us to have a way, the department must have a way of reporting on their responses on these issues that were raised by, because they are very specific, Chairperson. That's my contribution, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Zeki. Sabelo?
Yes. Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Anything that you?
No.
How many reports that was? Is it we're left with the Northern Cape and what? Western Cape, Northern Cape, Western Cape, and what?
So, Chairperson, we all the reports have been drafted. This is the consolidated report. So for all 9 provinces is here, but the other issues of human settlement, we are left with. Let me just check. So it's KZN, Northern Cape, Gauteng, and Free State, and part of the Western Cape. And the issue there was that there were a lot of Africans submissions, so they need to be translated. So we are still working on that, Chairperson.
Okay. But as we speak, because the department, when they were responding, they even tried to pick up on the issues that were raised, and they will say they got from yourselves.
Yes.
Just to check with yourselves in terms of means that the department didn't receive the KZN, Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and what?
Gauteng and Free State. But Chairperson,
Gauteng and Free State.
Yes.
Because, yes, Sabel, I want us to be systematic, because those issues are individual based questions by community members. Are we able to submit it? If we give, like for instance, if we give the department this report and copy them the forms of individuals that we have captured the issues, so that we can then be able to get the feedback on specific matter. But there are those things that are systematic which need to look at the system, like the non-availability of NHBRC inspectors, non-existence of NHBRC in Northern Cape. I just give example. Those are systematic issues, can then be dealt as that, but those that are from individual communities, I don't want us to lose that part, because we want the department to respond on the issue that has raised by those individuals, and how they are dealing with their matters as we proceed to getting feedback from the department. I just want to check how are we going to, because now you've consolidated the report, how are we not going to lose those issues per individuals, and the department will then be able to follow up on the matters.
Okay. Just Chairperson, can you give me a second? I want to show you how we've been doing this.
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes, Kholiso.
Member Powell is saying that she is driving, so the connection is very poor. She wanted to know if the bill will be debated next week. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, we'll have to get a slot, but it will depend on the programming committee. We're not in the programming committee. As long as we are done with the report, we'll ATC it for consideration by Parliament. We're not sure whether they'll put it on the agenda or not, but we are going to negotiate that it must be debated before we rise.
Okay, Chair. So
yes,
what we have done is that we have taken all the submission, the written submissions, and we have developed a framework. This framework is divided into 4 main categories. So it's a name of the person, it's their cell number, it's their address, and what their issue is. So, for instance, if they've indicated that they've been waiting for a house since 1990, for instance, that would be indicated on the issue that they've raised, and then the department will follow up by using either their number or the address that they provided, and that address includes it includes the ward that they come from or the ward that they're specifically talking about.
Okay. Okay, Sabelo, it's fine. Means that as we get feedback from the department will not be general. Will come back to us and say, on issues of Rosina Semenya, of the crack house, this is how far we've gone to deal with the matter in Eastern Cape at Nelson Mandela Bay.
Yes, Chairperson.
Okay. Members, that's the report and how it will then be followed up for response by the department, which will then look at the specific matters that individuals have raised, but those that are systematic, of course, they will remain within the system to they will be dealt with as systematic issues. Can we then get the adoption of the Honorable Mike? Are you back?
Yes, I was just making a very small, quick point, Chair.
Yes.
That my suggestion is that we simply defer our role in exercising oversight on the implementation, or rather on the actioning of all these concerns, whether they're individual or systematic, as ongoing oversight work, as forming part of the ongoing oversight work by way of requiring reporting to Parliament, to the committee in Parliament, manage these issues ourselves by way of going back to the communities and checking, are you happy? Because you might not even have the same people who raise the complaints when you go back to the communities to follow up, to establish if these things have been sorted. So let's not overcommit ourselves beyond our general oversight role in Parliament, which is that we expect the department, when they report on a regular basis on progress with regard to issues to incorporate their progress report in resolving some of the issues that arose and were raised by citizens during the course of the public hearings outside of the bill. Something of that nature. I'm sure somebody can do it in a better English, but I hope my sentiment is clear.
Okay, what you are saying is that we should not say that we'll go back and verify. My understanding of what Sabelo is saying, Honorable Masuta, is that department has received this, will receive this report as adopted by the committee, and those framework of individuals that were raised, that raised issues in the public hearing, which needs addressed by the department. And it then says that the department, when there are those that are systematic, as I've explained it before, which will then become incorporated into the day-to-day working of the department, like strengthening the NHBRC to be able to do its work better. And on the issues that Rosina has raised, that my house is cracked, I've reported this matter to so and so, and that didn't get a response as people were indicating, because the department would have the name of that person and the issues. They will have to go to attend to those issues, whether it's a municipality or it's a province or it's a department. And as they come to report, interacting with us, they don't have to report back on these individual issues. They can just submit the report to say, on Rosina Semenya's issue on that, this is what we have done, we have resolved the matter. On Ms. Michael Masuta's issue, this is, we have not resolved the matter. These are the problems, and we think this is what is going to be done in future to assist Mr. Masuta on the issues that he has raised. And then when we do the oversight, like for instance, when we go to
yes,
Eastern Cape, yes, like if you go to Eastern Cape, it happens for us to go to Eastern Cape, Epai. As part of visiting the houses, we can just pick up, look at the list that we have, and then we then go and see. Let's go and see the Rosina's house, and because department has said they have resolved the matter, then we go there. That's how we will deal with the matter. Not that we'll go to back to EPI and call the forum and say, last time when we were here, you have raised these issues. Now we are coming to get the feedback, give you the feedback. No, that's how we are not going to do it. But just to confirm, we can, through our staff, if the department says they finalize the issue of Rosina Semenya, this is how they've done it, then the Koliswa or Sabelo can call Rosina Semenya and say, department, they've told that is what they fixed your house, are you ready? Without actually going back as a parliament driving 20 cars to go and see that house of Rosina.
Now, as long as it's anecdotal, Chair, and we're not committing ourselves to go to each and every Masuta and Zeiki's house.
No, we're not
hope to finish all of it. So then that's
no, we're
fine.
not going to do that. Okay. Because
even the Auditor General samples, he doesn't audit every single thing that happens. So sampling is fine, just for reassurance and quality assurance.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Masuta. Can I get the mover for the adoption of this report as the true reflection of what we found on the ground, which will be part of our ongoing oversight on the matters that were raised by communities. Can I get the mover for the adoption of the report? Honorable Masuta.
I move, Chair.
Honorable Masuta moves. Can we get the seconder? Can I get the second of the report, honorable members? That is open. Who's trying to speak?
Are colleagues non-committal? I wonder. Chair.
But can we get the second half of the report?
Hello? Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, we can hear you.
I second the report, Chair, with all these amendments. I've got a network problem here.
Okay, we've been hearing your mic, Honorable Sufai. Thank you very much for the secondment. Can we have objections? If there are any objections? No objections. I don't see any hands. Thank you very much. Because now it's 11:30, honorable members, we'll now allow the presenters for the title deed to come in and take us through, and then so that members can then have enough time to engage with them. Kwaliswa, who's here? Can we introduce them? And then we'll then
I think in the next meeting we'll then deal with the minutes as long as we have adopted the reports.
Hello, Chair. Mr. Tedzi is here from the Chief Registrar of Deeds. Thank you.
Mr. Totset, you're welcome to.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members of the committee. My name is George Totset. I am the Registrar of Deeds, Legal Support and Deeds Training in the Office of the Chief Registrar of Deeds. I have been requested to make a presentation here, which I've shared with the Secretariat. Can I, with your permission, Chairperson, request the Secretariat to flight it?
Okay, Koliswa, can you flight it?
Mr. Dota, did you have the right to flight it on your side as well? But let me check it.
And Mr. Tseki, are you on the system to take over?
Chairperson, it is not yet visible from my side.
The Secretary said he has given you the powers to share with us, to put your presentation on the system yourself. Are you not able to do that?
Let me try, then I'll confirm if. Oh, there it is. Now I can see it, Chairperson. Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. As I've said that I'll be making this presentation on the procedure on the issuance of title deeds, in particular on the RDP houses. Thank you. Next slide. Chairperson, the outline of this presentation will be talking to the duties of the Registrar of Deeds, the registration concepts, deeds registration officials, the workflow in the deeds registry, and the question as to who initiates deeds registration, and lastly, the role that can be played by the Registrar of Deeds. The purpose of this outline, Chairperson, is just to give the members of the committee certain important information which will be very much important for the purposes of context. Now, coming to the duties of the Registrar of Deeds, Chairperson, I can confirm that these duties are outlined in Section 3 of the Deeds Registries Act, which is to take charge of and the preservation of records, that is, taking charge of the records of the deeds registry and the preservation thereof, the examination of deeds. This is for the purposes of quality control, record notices and court orders. This is for the purposes of determining the capacity of certain people to deal with their properties, things like your attachments, as well as sequestrations. The registrar is also enjoined to keep registrars that are necessary for giving effect to the provisions of the Deeds Registries Act. These registers, Chairperson, are registers that relate to the properties that are registered in a deeds registry, your farm register, your township register, as well as your sectional title register. And lastly, the Registrar of Deeds is empowered by Section 7 of the Deeds Registries Act to supply registration information. Thank you. Next slide. Now, okay. Now, the registration concepts that I wish to share with the committee is lodgement. Lodgement, Chairperson, is a process of submitting deeds to a deeds registry. So there must be some person who submits those deeds in a deeds registry. Examination. This is a process of verifying registrability or otherwise of deeds. You will recall, Chairperson, that in the duties I've mentioned the issue of the duty of the Registrar of Deeds to examine deeds. Endorsements. This is a process of effecting endorsements on deeds. As a way of example, for instance, if I've got a property and a title deed there too, the day I sell my property to the next person, my title deed will have an endorsement that indicates that now the new owner is the new owner, and I've transferred the property to the new owner. Numbering. The numbering process is for the purposes of giving numbers to the deeds, for the purposes of distinguishing between different deeds for retrieval purposes. Say, for instance, if I buy a property and my title deed is title deed number 1 of 2022, the next title deed will be title deed number 2 of 2022. So as to differentiate between these two deeds, we do so by a process of numbering. Black booking. This is very important to note. This is a process of verifying the presence or otherwise of impediments to registration. As I've alluded to, there are things like sequestrations which make it impossible for one to transfer his property if one has been sequestrated. Execution. This is a process of signing of deeds to signify assent to registration. That is, this execution is the process of signing of the deeds by the Registrar of Deeds. Data capturing. This is a process of updating title deed registry records regarding newly registered deeds. So once the property was registered in my name, during the data capturing process, the action of having the property registered to the person to whom I've sold to is done at data capturing. So to remove my name as the owner and have the new owner's name in the records. Thank you. Next slide, ma'am. From my side, it hasn't moved yet. Maybe it could be the process of the network. It hasn't moved, ma'am, from my side. Okay, now thanks, ma'am. Deeds registration officials. In the deeds registry, chairperson and members of parliament, we've got an official who is called a junior examiner. That official endorses and checks the compliance with the prescripts at a lower level. Then the senior examiner, he is the official who verifies examination of the junior examiner and passes or rejects deeds. So if the deed is worth to be passed, then the decision to pass the deed will be taken by the senior examiner. And if there's no compliance, the decision to reject the deed will also be taken by the senior examiner. The monitor. The monitor is a senior official who manages the senior examiner, and that official monitors the standards of examination of both the junior and the senior examiner, and he monitors that the deeds have been correctly passed or have been fairly rejected. Then the Registrar of Deeds, attests to deeds. You'll recall that I talked about execution. At the execution room, when the deeds have been passed, the Registrar of Deeds will attest by assigning those deeds. The conveyancer in terms of Section 15 of the Deeds Registries Act is the one who prepares the deeds, and he also attends to the queries that have been raised by the Deeds Registry and also executes the deeds. So it is the responsibility of the conveyancer to sign the deeds to signify that the transaction now can be registered. That is the transfer from myself to the person to whom I've sold the property or maybe perhaps donated it to. Thank you. Next slide. Chairperson and members of parliament, this is just an overview of the workflow in a deeds registry. You will recall that I talked about lodgement earlier on. That is, on the day one, the deeds will be lodged in the deeds registry. And what the deeds registry will do will data prep. By data prep, we mean that the officials in the deeds registry will pull out printouts in relation to the owner of the property as well as the property, so that the examiners can examine those printouts. And on the very same day one, there'll be distribution. That distribution will be to the junior examiner who does the first level examination. Then on day two, the junior examiner will do his work. Then still on day two, there will be distribution that is going to be taking place. The deeds will be distributed to the senior examiner for the purposes of doing the second level examination. And on day three, they will be once again distributed to the monitor so that the monitor can monitor the examination of the senior and the junior examiners. And what is going to happen then on day 5, Chairperson, is this, that those rejected deeds will be out of the system and delivered back to the conveyancer who lodged them. Now, the deeds that have passed on day 5, they will be going to a certain process which is called prep. That is, in the prep room, the conveyancers will check the notes that have been raised by the examiners, and they will start finalizing their financial arrangements, and the deeds will be black booked and sorted out. Remember, the concept of black booking that I've explained earlier is for the purposes of checking as to whether is the current owner still having the capacity to transfer. Has there been no sequestration or attachment that has been noted in the intervening period from day of lodgement? Then on day 6, that is, the deeds will be executed in the execution room. That is, the execution will be by both the conveyancer at the Registrar of Deeds, and on the very same day, those deeds will then be numbered and dated and embossed. By embossment, we are talking about a process of putting a certain seal on the documents, the seal of office, which signifies the authenticity of the fact that the documents were indeed lodged in a deeds registry. Then on day 7 to day 8, there will be data capturing, which I've already explained. That is the process of now updating the records from the old owner to the new owner. And on day 9, final checking. And on day final checking, Chairperson and members of Parliament, is that all the work that has been done in terms of data capturing and numbering will be verified once again for quality control purposes. Then on day 10 and 11, the deeds will be at micro. There at micro, they will be scanned and verified again. So the new deed that has been registered will now be scanned for the purposes of making a copy should the client's copy gets lost at some other stage. And that scanned copy becomes the record of the deeds registry. Then on day 12, the registered deed is once again delivered back to the conveyancer who lodged it. And that's the end of the workflow in the deeds registry. Thank you. Next slide. Now, this is a very important question for our purposes. Who initiates this registration? Then the initiator. I want to confirm that in terms of Section 16, that we read with Section 20 of the Deeds Registers Act, ownership of land is transferred from one person to another by the registration of a deed of transfer prepared and executed by a conveyancer authorized by the owner. So here there are two things. The owner can go and execute the deed himself in a deeds registry, or he can authorize the conveyancer to do so on his behalf. But in practice, this is normally done by the conveyancers, because most of the time the deeds registry do not act directly with the members of the public, but those who wish to do so are not debarred from doing so. Then the Registrar of Deeds, it is very important to note this, does not issue title deeds, but registers deeds of transfer conveying ownership from one person to another. So once a deed has been registered, that title deed is not some title deed that has been issued by the Registrar of Deeds, as it is normally understood by the public generally. Thank you. Next slide. Now, on the role that can be played by the Registrar of Deeds, insofar as the registration process is concerned, I can confirm, Chairperson and members of the committee, that the Regulation 45(3) of the Deeds Registries Act provides for the registration of deeds on the 6th working day after the date of lodgement, and it also affords the Registrar of Deeds the discretion to permit registration before the 6th working day after lodgement. The Registrar of Deeds would exercise this discretion upon request by the conveyancer who had lodged the deeds. What I'm conveying here is that upon request, a registration can take at an earlier date than the prescribed 6th working day from the date of lodgement. Thank you. Next slide. Chairperson, that was the end of my story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Tseki, can you take over? Honorable Tseki.
Hello, Chairperson.
Yes.
Mr. Sek is not here in the platform. Oh, okay.
He's here.
He's back, he's back.
Mr. Tseki.
Chair, I think Zeki is battling got this thing. What do you call it?
Connection.
The network, man.
Okay.
Mara, let me phone him. Just give me a minute.
Can I get members who wants to ask questions, clarity seeking questions, from Mr. Tsotetsi? Mr. Masuta?
Thank you, Chair. I have a few questions. I'll try to be as brief as possible. First of all, I just wanted him to clarify when he says that the registrar does not issue title deeds, but registers transfer of title deeds. I understand that property that is the subject of a title deed cannot have a new title deed created for it. All you can do is to transfer ownership or title from the one person holding the title deed to the other, whether by as a consequence of sale of property or any other means, or through succession, etc. But we have a unique situation in South Africa where Black people under the Land Act could not own land. And the forms of tenure under which they could acquire occupation and use of land would be through some other form other than by way of acquiring a title deed, such as a deed of grant. And in the case of communal land ownership, my understanding is that title deeds, as somebody from the department, in my view, correctly said, are not even issued at all, because my understanding is that the land is collectively or communally owned by that community, but under the trusteeship and management of the sovereign or the whoever is a traditional leader title there, who administers the land to the benefit of his community, but does not necessarily as an individual own the land, right? Now, once pieces of land in a traditional area have been allocated, my other question would be, what is the status of occupation of that piece of land of the individual beneficiary who received the land from the chief? What do you call that? And what legal protection accrues from such allocation by the traditional leader? The other point relates to the processes, stages to be followed upon succession, whether in terms of a will or interstate succession. You said that the owner would be the one that initiates the transfer. But in this case, there is no owner because the owner is dead. Who initiates the transfer? Is it the executor who has been confirmed by the master? And if so, what is the process from the point the executor is appointed all the way to upon distribution of the deceased estate and confirmation to the stage where now the registration of transfer takes place from the deceased name to whoever are the beneficiaries or heirs under interstate succession or under a will. So just to clarify that whole sequence, because my concern is that informal transfers take place which are not recorded at the deeds office. And people inherit, but not officially inheriting. They die, others inherit, not officially having had transfer, and they die. And how do you deal with this layers and layers of succession that has not been completed by way of this transfer to confer ownership to those who are beneficiaries in succession? Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Masuta. I don't see any other hands. Let me give Mr. Tsotetsi to respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Advocate Masuta. On the issue that we have raised, that I need to clarify the issue of the Registrar of Deeds not issuing title deeds. Then you raise an issue as to whether will there be no new title deed. As I've explained earlier on, let me once give this example. If the property is registered in my name, now I have sold the property to the next person, the Registrar of Deeds will receive a deed of transfer which will have been prepared by a conveyancer and lodged by a conveyancer together with my title deed for the purposes of registering the transfer from my name to the new owner. Now, what is going to happen in practice? My old title deed will be endorsed with a transfer endorsement to say that it is now a deed title. I'm no longer the owner, but the new owner is now the new owner in terms of the new title deed that has been registered and numbered. So there will always be a new title deed after registration. The deed of transfer that came into the deeds registry as a deed of transfer, it metamorphoses into a title deed after registration. Hence, it will be given a new number and be signed by the Registrar of Deeds. So the fact of the matter is that my title deed of the property will be a dead title deed, and the newly registered title deed will be issued over, or perhaps maybe given to the conveyancer, so that the conveyancer can give that title deed to the new owner. So what I'm clarifying is this, that this notion of the Registrar of Deeds issuing title deeds, it's a misnomer. What happens is that a deed of transfer gets registered. Now, Advocate Masuta also raised the issue of land in communal areas whereby the land there is deemed to be communally owned and under the management of the traditional leadership, who then administers and allocates lands to the various members of the communal communities there. From a deeds registration point of view, the owner of the land in this instance will always be the state. So the particular piece of land in communal areas, if it has been surveyed and there's a title deed for it, the ownership of that legally.
Chairperson, exigency, my apology, my battery is dying and I'm in the field. I'm not sure how long will it take. Is at 5% now? But don't be surprised when it goes off.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Zeki.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Can I proceed, Chairperson?
Yes, proceed, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now, in those instances, Advocate raised the question of the status of the rights of those people to whom land has been allocated to by traditional leaders. This is a matter that falls outside the perimeters of the deeds registries, but those rights are protected by the act which is called IPILRA, which is the Interim Protection of Land Rights Act. So issues around IPILRA are not issues that are dealt with in the deeds registries. Now, the second question that has been raised by Advocate Masuta is that the issue of succession. In terms of Section 102 of the Deeds Registries Act, there is a definition of owner there. In that definition, the owner is defined as including the legal representative of a person who has since died, which is the executor. So as per the definition, the person who will initiate registration once the registered owner dies will be the executor who will have been appointed by the Master of the High Court, or if not the executor, an administrator in terms of Section 18.3 of the Administration of Estates Act. Now, insofar as the steps that takes place between the death and the registration, those are estate matters which are dealt with by the person who has been appointed, and the deeds registry does not even know at a particular given moment that the current registered owner has died. So we only see that when the executor is transferring, or perhaps maybe doing whatever kind of registration in a deeds registry. So what really happens between death and the winding up of the estate? It's something that falls outside the province of the deeds registration. Thank you, Chairperson.
Hello,
Sorry, Chairperson, I think you omitted one other question I asked. May I, Chair?
Yes.
And that is the move from the erstwhile forms of tenure during the apartheid era, where Black people could not hold title deeds anywhere in the Republic. And at best, there were instruments such as a deed of grant, which my understanding is those were also handled by the deeds office, but they were not called title deeds, but deeds of grant, whatever that was intended to mean. I would assume that where those deeds of grant exist, people can apply to have them elevated, whether on transfer or not, to the status of fully fledged title deeds, if at all there is any legal difference. Can he just clarify whether deeds of grants still exist in our system, or whether they've automatically been converted into title deeds, whether they mean the same thing, or else whether the owners, whoever they are entitled to specifically apply to have them registered as fully fledged title deeds or as such. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masuta. Can we then have see the hands of Mr. Malemaza?
No, thanks, Chair. It's just I thought I will be covered when they deal with the issue of PTO, as the question was raised by Advocate Masood. Now, I feel like I'm not covered. I will want it to come simple as this way. Do we, now going forward, having a chance of giving those people who are in a communal land title deed, hence they're in their own earth, though not yet formalized? Will we see them having their own title deed, meaning that if they want to venture into businesses, they can produce that, meaning that if they want to sell it out in a valuable way, they can produce that? Are there, or will there be any provision of such? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malemaza. Mr. Tsutetsi.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Let me start with the issue that has been raised by Honorable Member Malemaza in relation to permissions to occupy in the communal land space. Let me reiterate this. That is a tenure matter that does not that is not regulated by the deeds registry. You'll recall that land in the communal areas is registered in the name of the state. So it is incumbent upon the state to have township registers in respect of those land in communal areas. Then after having opened those township registers, it is incumbent upon the state to transfer the relevant pieces of land on which members of the communities have built their houses. That is not something that can be initiated by the deeds registry. As I've already mentioned, that issues of deeds registration are always initiated by the one who is registered as an owner in the deeds. So it is for the state to undertake those steps for the purposes of having the members of the communities in the communal areas to have title deeds. The deeds registry cannot do anything in that regard, because that falls outside the province of the mandate of the deeds registries. Now, coming to the issue that has been raised by Advocate Masuta around deeds of grant, which were normally registered in the deeds registries in terms of Proclamation 293 of 1962. Now, you will recall, Chairperson and members of the committee, that is, the properties that were regulated by Proclamation 293 of 1962 were indeed surveyed, and there were deeds of grants that were registered in the deeds registries. And the only difference between those deeds of grants and the other title deeds was the question of the tenure. In the deeds of grants, the tenure there was not full ownership. Now, you will recall that in 1991, there was an act that was enacted by the Parliament of South Africa, which is called Ultra Upgrading of Land Tenure Rights Act. In terms of that act, all the properties that are in Schedule 1 to that act, which also include these grant rights, once the township register has been opened, they are upgradable. That is, what is upgradable is the tenure right there from a grant right to full ownership. So what happens in practice is this, that as and when a deed of grant is being dealt with, and it transpires that the upgrading process has taken place, that is, the township register has been opened, the Registrar of Deeds is enjoined by Section 2.2 of Ultra to endorse that particular title deed, that the grant rights there are no longer grant rights, but full ownership. So what happens in practice is this, that there won't be any need of having a new title deed. If say for instance that grant right was lodged for the purposes of registering a bond, the owner need not apply to have the deed of grant endorsed in terms of Section 2.2 of the Ultra. The Registrar of Deeds does that because the Registrar of Deeds is injuncted by Section 2.2 of Ultra to endorse. So once that endorsement is effected by the Registrar of Deeds, the effect thereof is to upgrade those tenure grant rights to full ownership. In instances where the property has been sold, there will be a new deed of transfer that will be registered. And in that new deed of transfer, what will be transferred won't be the grant rights, but rather the full ownership to the property. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much.
Chair, one small one again. Sorry to be a nuisance.
No, you are not, Honorable Masuta. That is the purpose of the meeting. Let's
just
start with Honorable Malimatsa and then you'll follow the process, unless if it's a
Okay.
legacy hands. Mr.
no, it's not the
Malimatsa,
legacy hand, it's a new hand.
It's a legal
Mr. Malimatsa,
sense.
legacy
legal
hands. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Masuta.
No, thank you, Chair. Again, on the area of succession, a parent dies intestate and leaves 3 offspring. So amongst the 3 siblings, my understanding of the law of intestate succession is that they become equal heirs to that one single property. Now, if they are fine with it and want to co-own it, and in any other instance where co-ownership may be agreed by parties who are to benefit from the transfer of ownership, how do you deal with that in the registration of the title deed? Can a title deed be co-owned by more than one person? And how do you deal with that particular aspect? Do they individually lodge? Do they, I suppose if they use a conveyancer, the conveyancer can act on all 3, on behalf of all 3 of them. And if it's the executor, in the same thing would apply. Just to confirm that, I think that would give me a better sense, because under African culture, there is the concept of a family home, where you do not want one individual to have exclusive right of ownership, occupation, and use upon the death, say, of a parent, but rather allow for collective ownership, use, and enjoyment of that property by different beneficiaries. How do you deal with that? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Masuta. Just to add on the problems questions, because one of the things that we've picked up by, as we're interacting with community, they raise a challenge in terms of the lot of money that has to be paid for you to buy land or to sell your land or house. That whether is it not possible to remove the middleman, which is your
Conveyancer.
Yes, that a person, people can just come to the deeds office and get help without
the involvement of conveyancers.
The involvement of conveyancers. That is a problem question that people have asked Mr. Tsotechi.
Sorry, Chair, can I just add one small one to that one, which relates to your question?
Yes, Mr. Masuta.
There is a practice in Black townships generally, especially areas where deeds of grants were issued, where municipalities, in issuing the valuation certificate of the property, pegs it at below 250,000 rand. So it would be 249,000. And apparently this is so as to alleviate the burden that the chairperson is raising of having to incur transfer costs, and to make it easier and simpler for people in those areas who cannot afford this costly transfer processes. What is your comment on that? You know, how are those then dealt with? Thank you, Chair.
Can I come in now, Chair?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, once again. On the issue that has been raised by Advocate Masuta, on the issue of a parent dying interstate having 3 offspring. Now, the question was, can they own the property under one title deed? The answer to that one is a simple, straight yes, because in terms of the definition of land in the Deeds Registries Act, land includes a share in land. So in practice, this will happen like them being a registered owner of a 1/3 share in respect of the property that they have inherited from their parent. So the Deeds Registry does permit a situation of having property registered in the name of various persons under one title deed in respect of various shares. For instance, if they were 4, each one will be an owner in respect of a quota share. Now, then coming to what has been raised by the chairperson regarding the challenges that have been raised by members of the communities about the monies that they pay when they have to have property registered in their name, especially the concept of removing the middleman, which is the conveyancer. In as much as that it's a noble idea, Chairperson, firstly, that matter is a matter really that needs to be canvassed, and it will, because the Deeds Registries are in the process of having the current Deeds Registries Act repealed and replaced by a new act. So in the pipeline, there is an act that is going to be developed going forward. But however, what I want to convey now is this, that the middleman, as is being referred to, does play a very important role. Maybe, for instance, let me give an example of the issues around finances. What the conveyancer does presently, he keeps the purchase price in his trust account and then pays it over to the owner of the property after registration. Now, if you remove him, there is a risk of the finances not being held properly. So that's the role that the conveyancer plays in this process. That is a very important role, but nevertheless, this matter is still going to be canvassed going forward. Perhaps maybe a better solution would be found, but currently the reason why there is a conveyancer is for the purposes of handling the finances. For instance, I could sell my property to you and give you money and you disappear with the money, then what? But if we use the route of the conveyancer, the money will be in his trust account. As you will recall, that is, a conveyancer is somebody who's accountable to the Legal Practice Council, and there's a certain fidelity fund there which covers instances where maybe the conveyancer would disappear with the money. So that's the role that is being played by the conveyancers currently. Now, in addition to that, Advocate Masuta talked about the municipality issuing certain valuation certificates, which they always make the point it's below 250,000 rands. Now then, he said that the purpose of that was to deal with the transfer costs and perhaps maybe get rid of the middlemen. No, that is not the case. Even if a municipality will evaluate a property at less than 250,000 rand, the Deeds Registers Act will still stand, and the deeds will have to be prepared by the conveyancer for the reasons that we all know. So the reason why they are giving those valuation certificates as at less than 250,000 rand, in my view, are not for the purposes of removing the middleman, so to speak, in a registration aspect, but rather it would rather be to deal with issues of administration of estates. You'll recall that in terms of the Administration of Estates Act, if an estate exceeds 250,000 rand in terms of the current proclamation, then that estate has to be dealt with by an executor. But if it is below 250,000 rand, it must be dealt with by a representative appointed in terms of Section 18.3 of the Administration of Estates Act. So the reason for me, I don't think is to remove the middleman who's the conveyancer, but rather to appoint a representative rather than an executor. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tsotechi. I don't see any other hands. Thanks for your presentation. And the meeting is adjourned, honorable members. Thank you very much.
Long live the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Goodbye.
Thank you for availing yourself, Mr. Tsotechi. Thank you.